I ran a few businesses and one of them was really successful. But the only small issue with it, which Paul always laughs about, is it didn't make any money. I call it a grown-up job. You know, I need to go and do something. So I did rent-to-rent serviced accommodation. I remember in my first year, I got 6 rent-to-rents. That was really big. Even when I started mentoring, they were still a bit kind of like, well, we're not sure that Emma really knows what she's talking about. But, but you know, I'm doing it and they can see it. So yeah, it's really exciting.
So welcome to Property Investing with Abi. On today's episode, we have the fabulous, the gorgeous, the incredible hat wearer, Emma Howitt with us.
Hi guys, hi.
And what we're going to do today is deep dive into Emma's story, find out how she got started in property, and then we're going to find out some of the biggest successes you had, and like everybody does, what's the fail? So Emma, tell us about you, your journey and how you got started in property.
I really did do what I was told. So I remember at the age of 10, my mum said, oh, you really need to pass your 11 plus. So in our area, we had the 11 plus to go to the grammar school. So I was a bit like, oh, okay. So I did. I remember thinking, wow, I've got to work really hard. Yeah. Went to grammar school. Then it's like next step uni, went to uni, next step graduate trainee scheme at a big blue chip. Really fortunate, worked for L'Oreal. I went abroad with them, so I was kind of, it was amazing. And then I fell pregnant with my boys, twin boys, and at that stage, clearly I needed a bit of help and support from my family.
Yes.
There's lots of people who are entrepreneurs, and there's a lot of support that you can get locally. So I thought, wow, I'll try and do that. So I did the big business plan, set that up. And so I ran a few businesses and one of them was really successful. It was a free from business. I won a national award. Wow. So that was really good. But the only small issue with it, which Paul always laughs about, is it didn't make any money. So it really wasn't much of a business there, was it? And it got, really desperate. I'd be walking around the supermarkets with the boys, they were little, and I'd be buying the ingredients for my business, and there would be times when the card was declined, all of these things, and I was thinking, what is this? I'm literally working so hard. I know I've got my boys and they're like yapping around my ankles as I literally did bake the cakes as well. And I just thought, what am I doing all this for? I'm not making that money. Consequently had another little girl, and when she was a few years old, I just thought, this is crazy. I need to get, and I call it a grown-up job. I need to go and do something. But I just started attending some networking meetings and walking in and just being very overwhelmed. These knowledgeable people, very successful, and saying all these things.
Buzzwords.
Yeah, and it was like, no money down. And I was like, yeah. I mean, I was exactly so. I was like, yeah, honest. Well, that's clearly not for me, my mindset. So then when I joined sort of Touchstone, it was just an absolute revelation that supposedly you didn't need money or very much money or your own money to start off in property. And that was when things really started to fall into place for me. And I just thought, I'm going to do this no matter what. I'm going to do this. So I did some training with Paul, and actually I chose serviced accommodation. And that's where it all began, really. I didn't have any knowledge of property, and again, didn't start with a pot of cash. So I did rent-to-rent serviced accommodation. And I looked at people like Gordy, I looked at everyone in the Touchstone community, and I was kind of like, wow, if they can do it, then I'm going to give it a good go. Surely I can give it a go. And yeah, I was really thrilled, really fortunate. The business was very, very successful, and I ran that for just over 3 years. And then I was in a position where I was able to actually sell that business. So that was a bit crazy. I was really interested with rent to rent. The natural progression seemed to be purchase lease options. Yes. Because really a purchase lease option is like a rent to rent with the ability to purchase it at the end of it. So it just seemed like a great option. And that's when we moved on to our most recent project, which is where we've converted an ex-language school into a beautiful apart hotel, which we're sitting in. So
and it is beautiful.
Yeah.
So you started property. Did you have any property experience before you started?
No, absolutely not.
You're quite incredible because you've got family, you've had the corporate career. Coming then into property for most people is very daunting. But I don't know if you could take me back, but what was going through your head when you first started?
Well, when I very first started, I somehow managed to pull together some money for the course. And so to me, that was the best investment because it forced me, no matter what, to make it work. And when I looked at the other people and what they're doing, it was kind of like, well, that all really makes sense. But I thought, if those guys can do it, I'm just going to go all in and achieve whatever I can. And even if it's only a small percentage of these other guys' successes, then that's going to be great for me. So for me, I kind of put myself in a position where it was no choice. It was, I'm going to achieve it. Sometimes it's a question of I have no idea exactly how it's going to work, but I'm going to go there. Because I know a lot of people now talk to me and they say, oh, you know, I've called up a couple of agents for a rent to rent and they've said no. And I'm like, yes. Well, you need a lot more of those. So I had lots and lots and lots of no's. But, you know, when I got my first yes, that was then the first yes of many.
Did your husband and your family support you coming into property?
I mean, they love me. Don't get me wrong. But yes, they certainly thought I was a bit crazy. And it's kind of one of those things where they kind of know what I do and they're happy with the results that it brings. But inherently, it's not really their thing. But actually, it probably took about 2 or 3 years before my parents actually decided to sort of listen. And I've actually now been able to start really helping them put in a legacy plan and really sort of think outside of the box of what they can do. But certainly the first couple of years, even when I started mentoring, they were still a bit kind of like, well, we're not sure that Emma really knows what she's talking about. But but certainly now, they're much more confident, and I really throw myself all in, and I really want to become an expert at something. You can't know everything, obviously, but I love the whole constantly. I mean, I'm just constantly listening to podcasts, webinars, you know, reading books. Abby, I'm so excited. My book has arrived! It's arrived! I've literally, all I've done is flicked through it. I have done no more. Will you sign it for me, please? Oh, thank you.
If you're wanting to take the next step and you're wanting to get educated, come along to our 2-day seminar. And I can't tell you how good this 2-day is or why you should do it. Let's go over it. It's 2 full days with me and my team. We're going to take you through every property strategy and we're going to help you build your wealth plan for 12 months. Now, this is either going to be 2 things you're going to do. You're going to come on the 2 days and go, this was absolutely amazing. I've got loads of knowledge. Yes, I'm going to be a property investor. Or you're going to come on the 2 days and go, actually, no, I don't want to do any of it. It's too much hard work. I'm just going to go off and carry on being in the system and doing whatever I'm doing. So it's £99 for 2 days because you will find out how you can earn £1 million tax-free. Did you know that? How your pension doesn't have to die with you. How you can use other people's money to invest in property. How you can use limited companies, LLPs, and how you can be so tax efficient and how you can get started straight away. So click the link below and get your ticket to our Wealth Through Property event. £99. You hate it, don't worry, we'll refund you, but take action. Be part of the 1%, do something different.
Biggest fail in property. We all fail. What would you say is your biggest fail?
I think this is a bit of a cliche, to be honest, but honestly, not starting earlier. Like, I kind of feel that I didn't know what I didn't know, and I think that is a real key. And I think a lot of people, when they think about doing property, I almost feel a little bit sick for them, because there's so many things that we don't know, and it's been incredible what I didn't know before, and of course there's still so much that I don't know and I'm learning all the time. So for me, if I'd have just done it 10 years earlier, even 5 years earlier, I really think that would have made a big difference, especially now because my boys are late teens now, driving, and you know, I just wish I could have been able to do that before. I think you can't ever be disappointed in the past. The past is the past. That's the way it is. And what I really love now is this year we are all looking to work together to get a property, and the boys are really keen to actually get hands-on with it, and we're going to do a deal where we actually buy a property, we do some things to it which then makes it more valuable, and the aim is to then pull all the money out. So once they get into that, then that's really exciting.
100%. And then on the flip side of that, what would you say your biggest success in property is?
I mean, I think obviously people see the big result that we've got in this hotel, for instance. You know, I remember in my first year I got 6 rent-to-rents. That was really big. But I honestly think it is having almost like a blind faith that you're going to achieve something. And I think that for me, what I've really learnt by coming into Touchstone and this sort of property arena is the mindset. And that has been the biggest win for me, is understanding that I can improve my mindset. And again, I thought I was a really positive person, but actually what I realised is what I thought and what I felt wasn't always conducive to moving forward. So honestly, for me, all of the property things have been incredible, but the biggest benefit to me as a human being and to my family and to my extended friends and family would be my mindset.
Can you talk about finances, so how properties change your finances for you?
Yeah, so I've always been hand to mouth, literally. It was always kind of like money would come in. So I suppose in those days it would have been, you know, sort of 70, 80,000 a year. So it was really good money. Do I spend all of that money on a nanny and train fares, or do I then start, you know, doing that on my own? So that's where I started doing my own business. And honestly, Abby, as I said, it was so tight running my own business. So then when I started in property, one of my biggest things, and again, this is just my own personal wants, is that I homeschooled my boys. And the reason I did that is just school didn't really fit for them. And, you know, I know lots of kids carry on through school when it doesn't fit for them, but I felt that was a big priority for me, and we spent many years in forest schools and learning by doing and all of these kind of things, so it's great. But inherently we wanted them to go to private schools. Coming into property enabled me to do is all 3 of my children, and it makes me quite sort of teary, have been able to go to private schools, and my daughter now, oh my gosh, I mean, we rock up at the school. It is so beautiful. It's the most beautiful school I've ever been to. My family, we're really fortunate. We have ponies, and every weekend over the summer, we now go away and we literally take the ponies away and the kids. We've got a lorry, we camp out, and we just have basically the whole summers is that kind of idyllic in fields, kids playing, ponies in the background, and that's now what I'm able to do. So I feel that having had property and understanding how to run your money, and let's be fair, am I still sort of learning as there still ebbs and flows? Absolutely. There's always that kind of thing. But overall, and what it's really done for me is it's opened things up. So whereas before I would never have thought of paying for my education, now paying for more education is so incredibly important to me.
But I think for most people, being able to send your children to private school, being able to have ponies, going away all the time, it's just a dream because they haven't got money. Whereas you've been able to open up this whole world for your children, which is amazing.
And even just little things like health insurance. You know, Rosabella had something wrong with her tummy before Christmas, and I was just able to go and get it organised and get it done, and that's just real kind of peace of mind, isn't it? I think it's moving on to that. Now, do I still work hard? Yes, because I really love it, and I've got some massive goals, and I really want my kids to see what I've done to move forward, and hopefully inspire them. I mean, clearly I've got teenagers, so they're just a bit like, oh. But, you know, I'm doing it, and they can see it. So, yeah, it's really exciting.
So that's it for today's episode of Property Investing with Abby, and a huge thank you, Emma, for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
So if you're interested in getting involved with Touchstone, or you like the idea of having some coaching from Emma, just click the link below. If you haven't already, hit that bell, subscribe, like the video, and put your comments below. If you've got any questions for Emma, pop them below and we'll get back to you.